My goodness, we got our first trailer for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a semi-sequel to the last Suicide Squad movie, sort of. There are overlapping elements to other DC movies, so what we're going to go through here, we're going to be doing one of those classic trailer breakdowns. And by classic, I mean that thing that everybody does all the time now on YouTube, but the difference here is got a bit of an Australian flair, which is not necessarily a good thing. There's time codes below if you do want to jump around, because there's a few things I want to talk about, including who I think's going to die, what kind of cut this movie's going to end up being, the release schedule, how it ties into Zack Snyder's Justice League and a bunch of other character stuff and whatnot. Oh, and Starro, of course. Oh my God, I can't believe they put... Oh my God! We'll talk about Starro. But what I want to start with is... Oh, actually, leave a like. That's what I want to start with. But what I also want to start with is, there's already been call online to James Gunn specifically to be like, release the gun cut, because, you know, there is this kind of... Hang on, I gotta fix my sound here. Hang on a sec. Did that make a difference? I don't think it did. But if it sounds different, now you know why. But yeah, there is this understanding with Warner Brothers that they'll take a property and then they'll just like cut the hell out of it, you know what I mean? They did it with Justice League. Justice League. They did it with Birds of Prey, apparently. They did it with the last Suicide Squad movie. And speaking of, off the back of the Snyder Cut, there is pressure from the studio to release what David Ayer originally intended for Suicide Squad. Warner Brothers, of course, have shot this down at this point in time, and I think that comes down to that will clash with this upcoming movie in August. I think it'll be confusing to people if, you know, they release another cut of Suicide Squad and then a new Suicide Squad movie comes out called The Suicide Squad. I think it's entirely possible it's something that could happen down the line, but marketing-wise, it doesn't make sense to push two different similar-ish Suicide Squad movies. It's confusing. But yeah, James Gunn in particular has said that this is the Gunn cut. The movie is locked already. It's my cut. So barring any changes, which it seems at this point is not going to happen, this is very much his version. And I feel like it's also the culmination of a lot of his work, because he did almost start as this kind of B-movie director, did a lot of smaller kind of horror comedies, then your big-budget superhero movies, and this feels like a combination of that, because you can have the kind of team dynamic of a Guardians, but with a shark, you know, tearing a person in half. So that's fun. He's also mentioned that this has been shot 100% in digital IMAX. Now, depending where you are in the world, it obviously depends how you can see that. If you're in the US, this will go to HBO Max with a same date release. But if you're like me and you're in Australia, this will be going to cinemas. The COVID situation here is, it's a little bit different to some places overseas. But it seems that most places in the world, it's going to be getting a cinema release. Now, I also want to talk about in this a number of the characters, not all, because there's a billion, and whether or not I think they're going to die. Because James Gunn has mentioned that, yeah, a lot of people in this are going to be mercilessly killed off, which is good. I think that's something that the last Suicide Squad movie sorely lacked. The kind of disposable nature of these kind of B-list DC characters. There was a few deaths, but I think they're going to go for more kind of comical, shocking deaths in this one. So first off, of course, we've got Harley Quinn. We see her rap sheet, and we've got vigilantism, kidnapping, extortion, destruction of property, attempted homicide, possession of an illegal weapon. Some of those, of course, can be tied back to some of the things we've seen in other movies that she's been in. And we see at the start they're mounting a rescue. I think this happens later in the movie. And we also see later in the trailer that she managed to get herself out of this situation before anybody turned up. Next to that file, we see just a glimpse of Mongal. I mean, we know it's Mongal because it looks like Mongal. And it mentions also that she's an alien with orange hair. And her crimes include mass homicide, war criminal, crimes against humanity. What's interesting about this team is it kind of ranges from Ratcatcher 2, just a really low-key nothing villain, who I believe is going to make it all the way through. And then someone like Mongal, who is going to be killed. Almost certainly. Harley Quinn, though, I know they mentioned that, yeah, they could potentially kill her. I don't think that's the case. Even if they do, Harley Quinn will almost certainly show up in other movies in this universe. There are ways to do that. We also know she's dead in the Snyder Cut future situation, if you saw the Snyder Cut. We've got Bloodsport, Idris Elba, a character I think is going to die, probably going to make a noble end. Great inclusion of Idris Elba, always happy to see him. Michael Rooker is playing Savant, who was kind of a low-level Batman villain. He was kind of raised in privilege from memory. He's like a martial artist, and I think a computer hacker this version, but I think he took things a little bit too far, hence being locked away. He's going to die. He'll be dead. James Gunn does have a bit of a history of killing Michael Rooker in his movies. Blackguard, played by Pete Davidson. He's just a cameo, apparently. So dead. Probably dead really early on. Javelin. We don't see much of Javelin in this trailer. probably because Javelin will be killed. And later we see that Harley Quinn seems to be holding a javelin, which leads me to believe that she's just gone, this guy's dead, I'm going to take one of his javelins. Captain Boomerang's an interesting one because he's one of the few carryover characters from the last Suicide Squad movie. I like Jai Courtney quite a lot. I know he hasn't always been in the best movies, but I genuinely think he's like quite charismatic and a very compelling actor. Whether or not he'll survive though, that's kind of, I feel like he could be a fun one to bring over and be like, well, he survived the last Suicide Squad and then immediately kill him. Polka Dot Man makes mention that when Idris Elba says we're all going to die, he says, I hope so. That makes me think that he's not going to die, that he's going to be one of the people that survives. The Thinker, played by Peter Capaldi, who has various threats made against him. Yeah, kind of big brain superhero type, dead, definitely dead. Arm Fall Off Boy, Nathan Fillion, dead guy. Weasel Sean Gunn, I think will live. Why not? And King Shark, and here's something interesting. So we knew that Steve Agee is playing the body of King Shark, and he's also playing a guy in the control room. But from this, we know a number of things. For one, he's not kind of the super intelligent King Shark that we see, for example, in the Harley Quinn show, a version I really enjoy. But here he's kind of this mindless simpleton lunatic who's voiced by Sylvester Stallone. So that's fun. And here's something that's fun. I love this inclusion. So John Ostrander, who's an amazing comic book creator, he actually wrote the first ever issues of Suicide Squad. He appears as the doctor that actually injects the bombs into the base of their skull. I mean, you couldn't pick a more well-placed cameo in this. Terrific stuff. But I want to talk about Starro. Can we please just talk about Starro for just a goddamn minute? It's funny that he came up in this because like a week or so ago, we did a video where we talked about the best Justice League villains. And Starro ranked quite high in there. And Mason and I, the other guy who's in that video, you may have heard of him and other things. We were saying that he kind of only made an appearance in that list because he was one of the very early DC supervillains that they fought. And perhaps he's only been popular because of that, and he's got excellent branding, you know what I mean? He's got a great manager. And then a week later, he just happens to appear in this, which is a wonderful coincidence. I love it. Now, the reason James Gunn included Starro is because dude may be goofy, but scared the shit out of me. So that's fun. I think this is an amazing addition, to be honest. I like it when somebody takes like a very strange, obscure, and look, stupid callback and works it into live action in just such a garish way. I think this is really going to work. As for Starro's abilities, if you don't know, he does like mind control stuff where he can like attach a small starfish to you and, you know, he can make you walk around and whatever. He does energy absorption and projection. He's nearly invulnerable. You can access people's thoughts and dreams. He's got like superior intelligence for a giant starfish kaiju thing. So that's fun. And he's also, I think this is important to clarify, he is not voiced by Taika Waititi. James Gunn has confirmed. We know that he's in this movie somewhere, either as a little personal cameo or voicing somebody. Maybe he's the voice of Weasel. I don't know, but he's not going to be Starro. So there you go. Now, there has been some speculation that the release of this Suicide Squad trailer, which was said by some to come out a further 2 weeks from now, was put in place to kind of crush the Snyder Cut movement that's going on at the moment. Sorry, restore the Snyderverse movement that's going on at the moment. Which basically, if you haven't heard, there's a lot of people who are a big fan of the universe that Zack Snyder has built and wish it to continue. Warner Brothers, though, it seems, wants to go in a different direction. This isn't speculation. They have come out and said, we want to go in a different direction. And Zack Snyder himself has also said, yeah, this is not something that they're looking to do to continue the work that I've been doing. Me personally, I would love everybody stuck in the desert and it's the future movie in relation to Zack Snyder's universe, which to me is, you know, up and down. But hey, I like that 4-hour monstrosity. It got well out of hand, but I was into it. I think though in relation to that, I guess there could be like an element of truth to it, but this wouldn't make that go away. What I think really is happening here is Warner Brothers and HBO Max and all their parent companies and partners are just looking for a way to drum up more support and interest in this next movie. They are very much interested in moving things forward. There's a number of properties that are in the works, and they want everybody to look to the horizon of what is next. And I think, and of course it hasn't come out yet, I think the Suicide Squad is going to be a good one from what we've seen, from who's involved, all of that. That very much, of course, remains to be seen. But look, if you do want a continuation of the Snyderverse, first of all, don't be a prick. I think if people come at Warner Brothers and attack them, they'll probably double down. I think what counts is numbers. I think if people do keep tweeting, I think, like Zack Snyder said, if people keep watching the Snyder Cut and sharing it around and all of those things, the numbers will dictate that there is more business to be made here. And look, I'm a big fan of like the multiverse. I want to see this universe and really any comic book universe go in all manner of directions. Because that way, even if you get some stuff that you don't like, you know, some of it you will. You're not kind of locked into this one track. of a narrative. Anyways, look, you might be like, I love early videos, James. I love videos that you do, but I wish they came early, like your Caravan of Garbage series. And I'm like, oh my God, I got just the thing for you, because if you sign up at bigsandwich.co, Caravan of Garbage does go up there early. And also we've got a bunch of exclusive and early podcasts, including movie commentaries, including one called Time Capsule, where we look at particular years in pop culture, a comic book club, one that specifically looks at clickbait articles and goes, rough, just rough stuff. And even early reviews of our Falcon and the Winter Soldier recaps, which are happening right now. You can get them pretty much straight after the episode comes out, and we watch it and we record. And of course, our podcast, The Weekly Planet, goes up there a day early, but it is of course out on Monday as per usual. This Monday we are talking about Invincible, the Invincible series that premiered. I've got a lot of stuff to say about that if you do want to check it out. Anyways, thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Hope you're safe. Hope you're happy. Hope you're healthy. Hope you're having fun. I hope when you look out the window, you go, I'm liking what I see, whatever that might be. It might be like a park. It might just be a brick wall because you live in an apartment block. But whatever it is, I hope you're like, I like this and I'm happy. I hope that's the kind of life that you're living. That's great. All right, see you later.